Have you ever felt the pain of being ignored by someone you care deeply about, even after you've poured so much of yourself into them? You gave them your time, your attention, maybe even parts of yourself that you've never shared with anyone else. You thought your effort would bring you closer, but instead they seemed to withdraw, to drift further away. That hollow feeling, being unseen, unvalued, almost invisible, can be devastating. It's one of life's cruelest paradoxes. The more effort you put into pursuing someone, the less they seem to care. You find yourself overthinking, wondering if you did something wrong, questioning your worth, and maybe even blaming yourself. But here's the truth. It's not your feelings or your effort that's the problem. The real issue lies in how human behavior responds to those dynamics. Why does this happen? Is it wrong to show love, care, or interest? Not at all. But there's a fine line, one that, when crossed, shifts the balance of power and pushes people away. And most of us don't even realize when we're crossing it. Today, on Stoic Blessing, we're diving deep into this paradox. We'll uncover the hidden forces that dictate why people pull away when you show them too much interest. These forces are rooted in ancient Stoic philosophy, which teaches us to master ourselves, and in the principles of dark psychology, which reveal the unseen dynamics of human relationships. What you'll learn today isn't just about others, it's about you. It's about stepping into your power, reclaiming your value, and transforming the way you interact with the world. Before we begin, I want you to do something for yourself, something simple but powerful. Drop a comment below with the phrase, "I am enough and I am in control." Write it not just as a statement, but as a declaration of who you are and who you're becoming. Let this be your reminder that your worth is not determined by anyone else. Now, here's the thing most people don't realize. Interest is like a flame. When it's soft, steady, and warm, it draws people in. It creates comfort, curiosity, and a desire to move closer. But when it's too intense, when it becomes overwhelming, it pushes people away. That intensity, often born out of good intentions, can come across as desperation, neediness, or even imbalance. And humans, whether they realize it or not, are wired to pull away from what feels excessive or imbalanced. When you show too much interest, you're unconsciously sending messages you don't mean to send. You're signaling that you're overly invested, perhaps even at the expense of your own boundaries and self-respect. And here's the hard truth. People value what they perceive as rare, as difficult to obtain. When you give too much too soon, you strip away the mystery, the challenge, and the curiosity that keep people engaged. But this isn't about manipulation, it's about balance. Relationships are like a delicate dance, a push and pull that keeps both parties interested and engaged. When you show too much interest, you upset that balance, tilting the scale entirely in the other person's favor. They no longer feel the need to work for your attention, to wonder about you, to be curious, and as a result, they pull back. Here's the good news. This is not the end of the story. You can change the dynamic. You can take back control. It starts with self-awareness and a willingness to let go of the need for external validation. It starts with understanding your value and projecting that in the way you carry yourself. Stoicism teaches us the power of control. Control over our emotions, our actions, and the things we can influence. It's not about suppressing how you feel, but about channeling those feelings in a way that serves you. When you learn to master detachment, to care without clinging, and to give without overextending, you become someone who is not only respected, but desired. Stay with me, because what you're about to learn in the next few minutes could change not only the way you navigate relationships, but the way you view yourself. You'll see how reclaiming your power is not just about strategy, but about stepping into the fullest version of who you are. This is the path to becoming unshakable. This is the Stoic way. Let me ask you something. What's the first thing that comes to mind when someone pulls away from you? Panic, frustration, a need to do something, anything, to bring them back. That's the trap most of us fall into. We feel their distance and instinctively try harder, give more, or over-explain ourselves. But in doing so, we lose sight of one of the most powerful tools we have: indifference. Now, don't confuse indifference with apathy. Indifference in the Stoic sense doesn't mean you stop caring altogether. It means you stop clinging. You stop attaching your happiness, your self-worth, or your sense of identity to how someone else behaves or reacts. It's about recognizing what's within your control and letting go of what's not. Here's why this is so effective. Humans are naturally drawn to what feels stable, composed, and self-contained. When someone senses that you are unaffected by their behavior, they become curious. They start to wonder, why aren't they chasing me? Why aren't they reacting like everyone else? That mystery draws them back in. But when you panic, when you show them that their withdrawal has power over you, you hand them the control. You essentially say, my peace depends on you. And that's a heavy burden for anyone to carry. It makes you appear unstable, ungrounded, and ultimately less attractive. This is where Stoicism becomes your greatest ally. Marcus Aurelius famously wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When someone ignores you or pulls away, their actions are outside your control. But your reaction? That's entirely up to you. You can choose to center yourself, to remain calm, and to project the confidence of someone who is whole, regardless of external circumstances. This doesn't just make you appear strong, it makes you strong. Because the truth is, your value doesn't diminish when someone ignores you. It only diminishes when you allow their actions to dictate how you feel about yourself. Now think about this. When you show someone that their distance doesn't rattle you, you disrupt their expectations. They expect you to chase, to cling, to beg for their attention. But when you respond with calm, quiet confidence, it forces them to reevaluate you. It shifts the dynamic entirely. Take a moment to reflect on this. If this resonates with you, drop a comment below with the phrase, "I reclaim my power and protect my peace." Let's affirm that strength together, because the moment you stop attaching your value to external validation is the moment you become unstoppable. Indifference is not about pretending you don't care. It's about prioritizing your inner peace over someone else's approval. It's about showing the world and yourself that your happiness isn't for sale. And once you master this, you'll find that people start gravitating toward you, not because you're chasing them, but because you're standing still, strong, centered, and entirely in control. In the next section, we're going to dive deeper into the psychology of attraction and why too much interest creates distance. Stay with me, because what's coming next will reveal the hidden dynamics that most people never even realize. This is where the transformation begins. Let's take a closer look at the paradox of human behavior, the push-pull dynamic. Have you ever noticed how people often seem more interested in what they can't have? It's almost as if the more distant or unattainable something feels, the more desirable it becomes. This is the push-pull dynamic in action, and it's one of the most powerful forces driving human attraction. When you show too much interest in someone, you inadvertently upset this balance. Think of it like a game of tug-of-war. The harder you pull, the more the other person feels the need to pull back. Or worse, they drop the rope entirely. This isn't because they don't like you, and it's not always intentional. It's because, on a subconscious level, people are wired to resist what feels overwhelming or too easy to obtain. The human mind craves challenge. We value what we work for, what we earn, and what feels just out of reach. When you give someone too much too soon, your attention, your time, your emotions, you remove the challenge. You make yourself too available, too predictable, and too easy to access. And in doing so, you unintentionally diminish your own value in their eyes. Now, let me be clear. This isn't about playing games or manipulating someone. It's about understanding the natural rhythm of connection. A healthy relationship requires balance, moments of giving and moments of holding back. When one person gives endlessly without creating space, the connection becomes lopsided and the other person feels smothered. This is where the pull part of the dynamic comes in. When you pull back, not out of spite but out of respect for yourself, you create space for the other person to lean in. You allow them to feel the natural curiosity and longing that only comes when they don't have constant access to you. This space is what rekindles their interest and reminds them of your value. Think about the relationships in your life. Have you ever found yourself more attracted to someone after they became slightly less available? That's the pull. On the other hand, have you ever felt suffocated by someone who was always there, always giving, always chasing? That's the push. The key is finding the delicate balance between the two. Here's where Stoicism comes into play. The Stoics teach us to focus on what we can control, and in this case, that means controlling the energy we put out. Instead of pushing too hard for someone's attention, step back. Focus on your own life, your goals, your inner peace. Not only does this make you more attractive, but it also reinforces your own sense of self-worth. This doesn't mean you should act cold or indifferent. It means you should match their energy. If they pull away, resist the urge to chase. Instead, create space and let them come to you. This shows confidence, self-respect, and emotional stability, all of which are incredibly attractive qualities. If this resonates with you, drop a comment below with the phrase, "I create space for what values me." Let this be a reminder that you don't have to chase anyone to prove your worth. The push-pull dynamic is a powerful force, but it only works when you master the art of balance. By pulling back when needed, you give others the opportunity to lean in. This isn't about manipulation, it's about creating healthy dynamics that honor both yourself and the connection you're building. In the next section, we'll dive deeper into the psychology of overvaluation and why people are naturally drawn to what feels scarce. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. This is where everything begins to click. Why is it that we often want what we can't have? Why does scarcity make something or someone seem so much more valuable? This phenomenon isn't random. It's deeply rooted in human psychology. When something feels scarce or exclusive, our brains automatically assign it more value. It's called the scarcity principle, and it's one of the most powerful drivers of desire. But here's the catch. When you show someone an overwhelming amount of interest, you destroy that sense of scarcity. Instead, you create the opposite effect, overvaluation. By giving too much of yourself too quickly, you make your time, energy, and attention seem too easy to access. And what's easy to access often feels less valuable. Think about it this way. Imagine you're walking through a marketplace. You come across a rare, beautifully crafted object displayed behind glass with a sign that says, "Only one available." Instantly, your interest is piqued. You feel a sense of urgency, a desire to claim it before someone else does. Now imagine you walk a few more steps and see the exact same object piled up in a bargain bin, hundreds of them for sale. Does it feel as special anymore? Probably not. This same principle applies to human relationships. When you make yourself too available, texting constantly, dropping everything for someone, or over-communicating your feelings, you signal that your time and attention are not exclusive. And the unfortunate truth is, people tend to take for granted what they feel they can have any time. The key is to understand that your value doesn't come from how much you give. Your value comes from who you are and how you carry yourself. When you focus on your own life, your goals, and your peace, you naturally create a sense of exclusivity. You become the rare object in the marketplace, the one that others feel fortunate to have access to, not the one piled up in the bargain bin. This isn't about playing hard to get or being manipulative. It's about respecting yourself enough to protect your energy and only give it to those who truly earn it. People are drawn to confidence, and confidence comes from knowing that you're valuable, regardless of how others respond to you. So, how do you avoid the trap of overvaluation? Start by setting boundaries. Stop giving all your energy to people who haven't shown they deserve it. Focus on becoming the best version of yourself, emotionally, mentally, and even physically. When you invest in yourself, you naturally create an aura of scarcity and value. If this resonates with you, drop a comment below with the phrase, "I am rare and I protect my energy." Let this be your affirmation that your value is not tied to how much you give, but to who you are. The illusion of overvaluation is powerful, but it's entirely within your control to change the narrative. By holding back just enough, you remind people of your worth. You show them that your time and attention are privileges, not guarantees. And in doing so, you shift the dynamic, making them realize what they stand to lose. In the next section, we'll explore the allure of mystery and why keeping parts of yourself unknown is one of the most effective ways to draw people in. Stay with me, because what's coming next is a game changer. Have you ever been drawn to someone, not because of what they said or did, but because of what they didn't say? There's something undeniably captivating about mystery. It sparks curiosity, ignites the imagination, and keeps people coming back for more. The truth is, we are hardwired to be fascinated by what we don't fully understand. Think about it. When you're given all the answers all at once, the excitement fades. There's no more tension, no more wondering. But when someone leaves things unsaid, when their actions and intentions remain just out of reach, your mind fills in the blanks. And often, it fills them with possibilities that are far more intriguing than the reality could ever be. This is why mystery is so powerful in relationships. When you're an open book, telling someone everything about yourself, constantly expressing your feelings, and giving them complete access to your life, you remove that sense of intrigue. There's nothing left for them to discover, and without discovery, there's no excitement. On the other hand, when you hold back just enough, when you allow a little ambiguity to linger, you become magnetic. You create space for curiosity to grow. People start to wonder about you, to think about you when you're not around. That's the power of the unknown. It keeps you in their mind, even when you're not physically present. But let's be clear. Creating mystery doesn't mean playing games or being deceitful. It's not about manipulating someone into chasing you. It's about protecting parts of yourself and recognizing that not everyone deserves full access to you right away. Mystery is about pacing, revealing yourself in layers over time, so that the connection continues to build naturally. In Stoicism, there's a principle of measured speech, of speaking with intention and purpose rather than over-explaining or oversharing. This principle can be applied to your actions in relationships. By doing less and saying less, you leave room for others to interpret, to guess, and to engage their own imagination. And in doing so, you shift the dynamic in your favor. Consider this. When you share everything about yourself too soon, you rob someone of the joy of discovering you. But when you reveal yourself slowly, piece by piece, you keep them invested. Each new layer becomes a reward for their effort, a reason to stay engaged. And that investment is what builds attraction and connection over time. So how do you cultivate mystery? Start by stepping back from the need to explain or prove yourself. Let your actions speak louder than your words. Focus on building a life that's so rich and fulfilling that people naturally want to know more about you. When you do this, you don't just create mystery, you create value. If this resonates with you, drop a comment below with the phrase, "I reveal myself in my own time." Let this be a reminder that you control the narrative of your life and that your story is worth unfolding slowly. Mystery isn't about hiding who you are. It's about showing your depth in a way that captivates and draws people closer. It's about understanding that the unknown is where desire lives. In the next section, we'll turn to the Stoic way of mastering detachment and how it gives you unshakable confidence in any relationship. Stay with me, because this is where the real power begins. Let me ask you something. How often do you tie your happiness to someone else's actions? How often do you feel at peace only when you're getting the attention, affection, or validation you crave? This is one of the biggest traps we fall into, allowing external factors to control our inner world. But Stoicism teaches us a different path: detachment. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you stop loving or wanting connection. It means you let go of the need to control outcomes that are beyond your power. It's about realizing that your happiness, your peace, and your worth are not dependent on how someone else treats you or whether they choose to stay in your life. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The Stoics believed that true freedom comes from focusing on what you can control and releasing what you cannot. And in relationships, this principle is life-changing. When you practice detachment, you free yourself from the endless cycle of seeking validation. You stop chasing people who pull away, stop overthinking every text, and stop bending over backward to win someone's approval. Instead, you center yourself in your own value. You become grounded, unshakable, and confident, not because of how others treat you, but because of how you treat yourself. Now here's the surprising thing. Detachment doesn't push people away, it actually draws them closer. Why? Because it radiates strength. When someone sees that you're calm, composed, and not desperate for their attention, they begin to respect you more. They start to see you as someone who has their life together, someone who doesn't need them to feel whole, and that kind of energy is magnetic. But detachment isn't something that happens overnight. It's a practice, a daily choice to focus on your own growth, your own goals, and your own peace. It's about shifting your mindset from, "What can I do to make them like me?" to, "How can I become the best version of myself, regardless of what anyone else thinks?" Here's a simple exercise. The next time you feel the urge to chase someone's attention, pause. Ask yourself, what am I hoping to gain from this? Then remind yourself that whatever you think they can give you, whether it's love, validation, or happiness, you already have within you. Your worth isn't determined by someone else's recognition of it. If this resonates with you, drop a comment below with the phrase, "I am whole with or without them." Let this be your declaration of independence from external validation. Detachment isn't about closing your heart or being distant. It's about loving freely without being consumed by fear or neediness. It's about giving without expecting, caring without clinging, and walking away when something no longer serves you. And when you master this mindset, you'll find that people start treating you differently. They'll sense your strength, your boundaries, and your confidence, and they'll respect you for it. In the next section, we'll explore how scarcity breeds value and how understanding this principle can transform the way you approach relationships. Stay with me, because this is where the power of perception comes into play. Have you ever noticed how people seem to value what's rare? Think about diamonds. They're just rocks, yet their perceived scarcity makes them highly sought after. Now, consider this principle in the context of relationships. The same scarcity mindset applies. When something feels rare or exclusive, its value skyrockets. But when it's always available, its worth diminishes. This isn't just about material things, it's about how people perceive you. If you're constantly accessible, always the first to respond, always dropping everything to accommodate someone else, you unintentionally send the message that your time and attention are not valuable. people subconsciously take for granted what they feel they can have at any time. Now, let's flip the script. Imagine you're selective about how you spend your time. You don't respond instantly. You prioritize your own life, your goals, and your growth. Suddenly, your attention becomes something rare, something others feel lucky to have. And just like that, you've shifted the perception of your value without even saying a word. This is not about playing games or being manipulative. It's about recognizing your worth and acting accordingly. When you treat your time and energy as valuable, others will too. Scarcity creates value because it taps into a deep psychological truth. People don't appreciate what they don't have to work for. The Stoics understood this principle well. They taught that true value comes not from external validation, but from how you carry yourself. When you operate from a place of self-worth, you naturally create scarcity, not because you're withholding, but because you're selective. You don't give your energy to just anyone. You reserve it for what truly matters. Here's a practical way to apply this. The next time someone pulls away, don't chase. Instead, focus on yourself. Work on your goals, your health, your passions. Let them see that your life is full and vibrant, with or without their presence. This not only raises your value in their eyes, but also shifts the power dynamic in your favor. Here's another perspective. Scarcity isn't just about being less available, it's about being less predictable. If you're always there, always saying yes, and always doing the same things, people start to assume they know everything about you. But when you keep them guessing, when you're not always accessible, or when you're pursuing something exciting they don't fully understand, you reignite their curiosity. If this resonates with you, drop a comment below with the phrase, "I value myself, and so will others." Let this serve as your affirmation that your worth doesn't depend on anyone's recognition. It's inherent in who you are. The beauty of scarcity is that it naturally commands respect. It shifts the dynamic from "I need you" to "I choose to share my time with you." And that subtle shift changes everything. Suddenly, you're no longer chasing anyone's attention. Instead, you're drawing people toward you because they sense your confidence, your boundaries, and your value. In the next section, we'll explore emotional self-control and why mastering your emotions is the ultimate key to stopping the cycle of seeking validation. Stay with me. This is where true power begins to emerge. Let's face it, most of the mistakes we make in relationships come from one place: emotional reactivity. When someone pulls away, ignores us, or gives us less attention, our emotions take over. Fear creeps in, followed by insecurity, and before we know it, we're chasing their validation to soothe our own discomfort. But here's the truth. Emotional reactivity is the quickest way to lose respect, both from others and from yourself. Stoicism teaches us that the key to inner peace is mastering our emotions. Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This wisdom applies perfectly to relationships. The moment you let someone else's actions dictate your emotional state, you give away your power. And once they sense that control, the dynamic shifts. They see you as someone who needs their attention to feel whole. But here's the thing, you don't need anyone's validation to be complete. The only validation you truly need is your own. When you recognize that, you free yourself from the endless cycle of trying to prove your worth to others. You stop overthinking every message, every interaction, every moment of silence. Instead, you learn to pause, to breathe, and to respond from a place of calm confidence. Here's a scenario. Someone doesn't text you back as quickly as you hoped. What's your first reaction? Maybe it's panic or frustration. You might feel the urge to double text or overanalyze why they're not responding. But instead of reacting, try this. Pause. Remind yourself that their response, or lack of it, does not define you. Then, redirect your focus to something that brings you joy or fulfillment. This simple practice isn't just about controlling your actions, it's about rewiring your mind. Over time, you'll notice that your emotional triggers become weaker. You'll stop relying on external validation to feel good about yourself, and you'll start to feel a sense of peace and stability that no one can take away. Emotional self-control doesn't mean suppressing your feelings. It means acknowledging them without letting them control you. It's the difference between saying, "I feel hurt because they pulled away," and "I feel hurt, but I won't let that pain dictate my actions." This mindset shift is powerful because it allows you to stay grounded no matter what happens around you. When you practice emotional self-control, you become unshakable. People sense your strength, your calm, your ability to stand firm in the face of uncertainty, and they're drawn to it. They start to see you as someone who doesn't crumble under pressure, someone who doesn't need constant reassurance to feel valued. And that level of emotional independence is incredibly attractive. If this resonates with you, drop a comment below with the phrase, "I control my emotions, they don't control me." Let this be your declaration of strength and a reminder that your inner peace is non-negotiable. The more you master your emotions, the less you'll feel the need to seek validation from others. And, ironically, the less validation you seek, the more people will respect and value you. It's a paradox, but one that works every single time. In the next section, we'll dive into practical strategies you can use to shift the dynamic in any relationship and regain your power. Stay with me, because the best is yet to come. Now that you understand the psychology behind why they pull away and how your own behavior may be contributing, let's focus on solutions. The good news is you don't need to play games or change who you are to shift the dynamic. What you need is clarity, confidence, and a plan. Here are practical steps you can take to reclaim your power and reset the relationship dynamic. First, pull back your energy. If you've been overextending yourself, constantly texting, initiating conversations, or going out of your way to prove your interest, it's time to pause. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop chasing. Give them space to notice your absence. Often, people only realize what they had when it's no longer right in front of them. Second, focus on yourself. Take all the energy you've been directing toward them and redirect it into your own growth. Whether it's hitting the gym, picking up a new hobby, advancing in your career, or reconnecting with friends, the goal is to become so invested in your own life that you no longer feel the need to seek validation from anyone else. When you're thriving, people naturally take notice, and that includes the person you're thinking about. Next, set boundaries. If someone is treating you in a way that makes you feel undervalued, it's okay to let them know what you will and won't accept. Boundaries are not about pushing people away. They're about protecting your peace and reinforcing your worth. When you set clear boundaries, you teach others how to treat you, and that level of self-respect is incredibly powerful. Another key step is to match their energy. If they're pulling away, don't try to close the gap by chasing them. Instead, mirror their level of interest and effort. If they text less, you text less. If they take time to respond, you take time as well. This isn't about being petty. It's about maintaining balance and showing that you're not dependent on their attention to feel good about yourself. Lastly, embrace the power of mystery. Stop oversharing and start letting them wonder about you. When they ask how you've been, don't spill every detail. Keep it short and intriguing. If you're posting on social media, show glimpses of your life that highlight your growth and happiness without being overly revealing. The goal is to create curiosity and remind them that there's more to you than what they've seen so far. These steps may feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're used to overgiving. But remember, this isn't about manipulating anyone. It's about realigning the relationship dynamic in a way that honors your value. If these steps resonate with you, drop a comment below with the phrase, "I choose myself first." This is your reminder that your time, energy, and love are gifts, not things to be given freely to anyone who doesn't appreciate them. As you implement these changes, don't expect instant results. People may not immediately notice your shift, but over time, they'll feel it. They'll see your confidence, your independence, and your newfound self-respect, and they'll begin to reevaluate how they see you. In the next and final section, we'll tie everything together and explore the mindset you need to maintain this balance long-term. Stay with me, because this is where you step into the Stoic blessing mindset and truly transform your relationships. We've come full circle, and now it's time to bring everything together. The principles we've discussed, detachment, scarcity, mystery, and self-control, aren't just tools for navigating relationships. They're a mindset, a way of life that allows you to operate from a place of strength, clarity, and confidence in everything you do. This is what we call the Stoic blessing mindset. The core of this mindset is simple. You are enough just as you are. Your worth isn't tied to how someone treats you, how much attention they give you, or whether they choose to stay in your life. You were whole before they came into the picture, and you'll remain whole regardless of what happens next. When you truly internalize this truth, everything changes. You stop chasing people who pull away. You stop overthinking their actions and second-guessing your own. Instead, you focus on living your best life, pursuing your goals, building your confidence, and becoming the kind of person who naturally commands respect and admiration. But here's the secret. This mindset isn't just about how others see you. It's about how you see yourself. The more you value your time, your energy, and your presence, the more others will value them too. The less you rely on external validation, the more people will be drawn to your inner strength. Remember, the Stoics believed that the only thing you can truly control is yourself, your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. This is where your power lies. When you master yourself, you become unshakable. You don't need to chase anyone's attention or approval because you already know your worth. And ironically, it's this self-assuredness that draws people closer. So, what's next? Start applying what you've learned today. Pull back your energy, focus on your own growth, and embrace the power of detachment. Be selective with your time and attention, and remember that you don't owe anyone constant access to your life. Protect your peace, set your boundaries, and watch how the dynamic shifts. If this resonates with you, drop a comment below with the phrase, "I am enough and I own my power." Let's affirm this truth as a community and remind ourselves that we don't need anyone else to validate who we are. Finally, if you found value in this, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Stoic Blessing, and turn on notifications so you never miss another moment of wisdom. Let's grow this community of strength, resilience, and empowerment together. You are stronger than you think, and you have the power to shape your reality. Remember, the Stoic way isn't about controlling others. It's about mastering yourself. And when you do, the world will begin to respond to you in ways you never thought possible. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay strong, stay grounded, and as always, stay blessed.